Whenever Disney makes a movie based on a book or a story, which is pretty much all of them, people are quick to point out that they aren't being true to the original story. They're not. And there's a reason for that. And the reason is something that you can use for your books too to make them stand out. And that's what we're covering in this episode. Hi novelteers, I'm Devlin Blake, novel writing and self-publishing expert, coach, published author, and former ghostwriter of over 200 books. If you'd like to work with me, check out my links in the description. So, back to Disney. Why the heck did they change the story so much? One word: copyright. Disney uses works in the public domain as their base element. But nobody owns those works or can own those works because once something is in the public domain, it can never come out. And that's true of even Disney. So in order to get a new copyright on a public domain work, you have to change it significantly. Significantly enough that you can get a brand new copyright on it. And this worked for Disney, and it can actually work for you too. Now you might be wondering how. And what the heck is public domain anyway? We'll start with that one. Public domain are works that have run out of copyright, so now anyone can use them for whatever the heck they want. In the United States, that's any work before 1926, along with several works that came out later that ran out of protections for whatever reason. Always make sure to use a trusted source when searching for copyright, such as archive.org or the Digital Comic Museum or the Copyright Office itself. Because you want to be sure your thing is out of copyright before you use it, because otherwise you could get a lawsuit. So just make sure. But once you're certain that something is 100% out of copyright, you can make use of it yourself. How? The Disney way. Now, I'm not saying to borrow from Disney. In fact, please don't touch anything Disney. They will sue even if they can't win, so don't touch Disney. What you can touch, though, are the original stories that inspired Disney. For example, the Little Mermaid story by Hans Christian Andersen and the story of Undine, both of which were the base for The Little Mermaid, is out of copyright. These did not start out as romances. These were tragedies that Disney fleshed out and rewrote as romances. And you can do that too if you find a tragedy that you want to rewrite as a romance or as a happy ending or some other genre. And a lot of people give Disney hate for how much they changed the original stories. But they have to get a new copyright to make the story theirs. All theirs. And you have to as well. In order to make a public domain story actually yours, you have to change pretty much everything about it. For example, change the genre entirely. You could rewrite them as something else. Maybe you want it to be a dystopian world. How about a sci-fi one? A woman's fiction midlife crisis? A horror story? These stories can literally be turned into anything you want. All you need to do is read the bare bones of the idea and let your imagination take off. For example, I once read a sci-fi version of Cinderella where she was a cyborg mechanic who was being mistreated at home. And instead of just losing her shoe at the dance, she lost her whole bionic leg. But because she was mechanically inclined, she also helped the prince when his space carriage stalled, and that's how they fell in love. And another time I read a retelling of a Beauty and the Beast story that was set in the Regency romance era without any magic at all. It started with the young woman married off to a duke against her will, and the duke had a badly burned face. That was the Beast part. As I said, there was no magic in this story, and she still managed to handle all the Beauty and the Beast tropes as well as the Regency ones. In the end, though, of course, since he could never lose his burns and turn back into the handsome man he was before, she saw past them to the kind man he was inside. Retellings are actually so much fun when you let your imagination take off. Another great way to do retellings is with a point of view shift. Some famous examples of stories that have been retold include Wicked, which is a retelling of The Wizard of Oz from the point of view of the Wicked Witch of the West, Mary Riley, a retelling of Jekyll and Hyde from the point of view of a servant, Ever After, which is based on Cinderella, and a lot more. Because here's the thing, if you change the personalities and the point of view, and add some more characters and add a few more things, you change the story. And this goes back to knowing your character. Once you know your character well enough, then it becomes a lot easier. My course on creating compelling characters inside my Novel Writers Club can show you how to do this. It also includes group coaching, popular story outlines, and a lot more. But you don't have to stop at simple retellings. Stories like Shrek made use of the public domain to bring us a wonderful satire that felt familiar, populated by characters we already know, like the Gingerbread Man, the Three Little Pigs, and the Fairy Godmother. The Hotel Transylvania franchise used Dracula and other identifiable public domain monsters to make a great comedy. And the questionable horror movie that I happen to love anyway, Pinocchio's Revenge, and if you've never heard of it, you're not alone, but it's still a great movie, used the legend of Pinocchio to tell a killer doll story. And it doesn't stop there. Stories like The Lion King, West Side Story, Warm Bodies, 10 Things I Hate About You, She's the Man, Oh, Just One of the Guys, Deliver Us from Eva, and many more are based on the works of Shakespeare, and Shakespeare is definitely in the public domain. The possibility for using public domain work as your own are truly endless, and you can even build your own empire around it the same way Disney did. Just make sure you change it enough so you can get a new copyright, and then get that new copyright and publish your book. This is something I can help with. If you're interested, check out the links below on how to work with me. I have both a membership site and a program. That's about it for now. This is Devlin Blake saying, right on.